I don't believe a lot of these bad words that are said about Hull. I think there's far more to it than what the media sometimes puts across. I would never think of moving, never.
I think it's the people. I mean, in some ways it's the worst and best thing about Hull, like any other place. There's a strong sense of community in Hull. People watching out for each other. It's not as indifferent as some larger cities are.
I've worked a lot of places out of town. I was in the prison service, working here, there and everywhere. I've worked all over the country, but you always seem to come back. I don't know what it is about Hull.
I mean, I was born near Hessle Road, and when you came from that particular area of Hull, you were the hardcore sort of thing. It was like the old Rainers pub. There was a saying there. You went in through the door, but you came out through the window. And there was always that feeling of men in Hull being a hard case.
I think a lot of it stems from the 60s, the 50s, 60s era, the fishing trade, this, that and the other. They'd come home, they'd be drunk. If things wasn't right, there'd be a left-hander across the face for the wife. And I think so many people have grown up with that. They've become to think it's the norm, which we know very well it isn't. You know, from a big West Hull, big fishing community. You used to see it happen on the streets, and the wives, the poor women, was only asking for a bit of housekeeping to go buy food. Nah, I'm in the pub and smack. I've seen it happen on the streets in numerous towns when I was a youngster.
I mean, in circumstances where if the man has the money, maybe he's not giving his partner or wife, whatever, money for her to be able to go and do her thing. If she's like sort of like confined to the home.
I know there are people that have given their wives black eyes and like headbutted them and kicked them and whatever. And I dare say it goes on a lot that we don't hear about.
It's my father, and in some respects fueled by drink. He wasn't an unintelligent man, but he did a comparatively manual job with long hours. And I didn't ever see him physically violent to my mother, but he'd smash the house up, etc., and be very sorry and patch things up, but it was an ongoing, repeated thing. It worried me at the time as a child, but you don't have the consequences of it until you get older, and you don't realise what your mother was going through.
I wanted to be with my kids. I really missed them. But since that night that I was arrested, I've not seen or spoke with them. I presume they're all safe and well, but you know, and if they're better off without me, then that's clearly got to be a good thing.
If you're with a partner and you've got kids and whatever, if you abuse them, there's no love and no trust, right? And to do that to somebody what you do, and then next day, oh, I'm sorry about that, I love you and all that is two-faced in my books.
At times when my father must have sat down and thought, what the hell am I doing? You know, totally out of control, didn't know what to do for help, wouldn't know who to talk to, anything like that. It could have been so much different if you could, you know, if you could have talked to someone or accessed some help. I mean, there's no way in the world he could have come home after a 12-hour day and gone to the pub and asked one of his mates, you know, what do you do when you're really angry and frustrated and you're tired because you've worked so much and there's other things you want to do but you just can't physically do it and you feel like you're in a dead end and you're trapped? He couldn't have done that. You know, the best thing he could have got was a natter about somebody and have a game of darts, and that's it.
See, it's whether the men want to admit that that's how their character is, that's the way they are. If you're willing to accept that you might have a problem, it's more likely that you're going to go to some sort of group where you can discuss these issues.
You've got to stand up and be counted when it comes to anything like this. Somebody's got to actually start this ball rolling.
If one guy out there looks in the mirror and sees where he's going wrong and gets help, so that the cycle of violence and the continuation of it ends, and certainly good for any kids that are having to grow up in that environment. Because it doesn't mean you're not a man to admit that you've got a weakness.
if somebody's using violence and they've got an opportunity to make a change, they're going to have to do a lot of hard work on themselves. But, you know, I do this work because I've seen men change, and I do believe that others can. And a lot of men actually, like I say, aren't happy about the situation that they're in and do want to do something about it. It takes a real man, it takes it's strength, personal strength, to decide actually I'm not going to behave like others. For men that come forward, it's not about punishing them, quite the opposite. It's about acknowledging and respecting their decision to come forward and seek help and support that and facilitate change.